And I am just excited to have Liza Donnelly from the cartoonist, the American cartoonist from the New Yorker, and she's doing stuff with CBS News. She's done stuff all over the place and has done groundbreaking work, and we're going to get to talk about that. I want you to know, if you're watching this on Periscope, please come over to Haps TV, HAPPS.tv. And hello, Atlanta, Gary Price. Come over to Haps TV, become a member, become a broadcaster if you want to. You can actually kind of make some tips, like literally some coins on your first day here. So come and see us and become a part of Haps TV. And without further ado, I am going to bring in Liza Donnelly. It is like such a pleasure to get to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah,
I've seen your broadcast, but we have not actually met.
Yeah, and I've seen yours too, and it's really cool. The I think since I was kind of pitching the platform a little bit, there's a very nice of community on this app for people, and it's very nice.
Yes, it's true. And the Haps folks are very helpful and very, very funny and very patient and kind. So.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They are. They are like Peter's in the room right now, and it's really it's a really wonderful thing. We have Helen from London. Bronx Viking is here. What's up? And Yassine is from St. Petersburg. We know Yassine. So I imagine we have some cross pollination of our followers on there, and it is really good. How long have you been doing this on Haps?
I should find out the exact time, that date, but it was early spring, I think, last year, April maybe.
Oh my gosh! So you're like one of the early people, right?
I think. What did Peter call me? Anyway, they got in touch with me because I was doing this already. I was broadcasting daily at the beginning of the pandemic. I was doing it on Instagram.
Oh, great!
Daily, drawing what was going on with the pandemic, and then the protests and the Black Lives Matter. So maybe that's where they saw me, and they were looking for journalists, and I'm a unique sort of journalist. So
oh my goodness,
and it's the one thing I want to do. So this broadcasting is kind of fun. So I immediately jumped on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I think that speaks to like what you and I were even talking about in the digital green room. Just having fun and doing what you want to do, and you. You've been able to really merge the story, the image with real time reporting. So, you said that, you're a journalist, right? And I don't know that everybody, when they think of even a cartoonist, right, per se, as being a journalist in their mind, you know what I mean? They might not think about that, but it's entirely relevant to journalism in that, that is what you're doing. You're reporting what's out there.
I lost you. You went silent.
Oh, am I here?
Rev?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Cartoonists of the kind I do political cartoons as well. And political cartoonists, editorial cartoonists are opinion journalists. So we're not necessarily reporters per se, but we're commenting on the news in our drawings. And I'm also a reporter in that. So that's that. And the New Yorker cartoons can be political or cultural, and they're sort of opinion journalism too. But the reporting part comes when I live draw out in the world on my iPad, my tablet, and I report what I see visually, and I often do it verbally too as I'm drawing. If I'm broadcasting, I can draw and talk at the same time what I'm seeing, and then also share it on social media immediately. So it's a new for me, and I think I'm not the first person to live draw. Obviously, the people have been doing it for centuries, but using digital tools and drawing and being out as a reporter, I think I may be the first person who's done that, and I've been doing it about 4 years.
Yeah, well, that Louise Poppy says, "Hello, Lisa," and Liza. I'm sorry, and I can hear you both fine. Says Peter. Thank you for the feedback, Peter. And if you're not familiar with Haps, or like I said, you're on another feed here, don't think that I'm being rude to Liza if I jump in and read the and read the chat, because that's just kind of part of the flow. And
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna, I
Yeah.
won't try to interrupt her, but sometimes people are like, why aren't you, why are you talking, when I'm like, well, it's just kind of how it
That's
works.
true. I
Yeah.
do the same thing. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
so I might interrupt you too and
Yeah,
snap and see
please
somebody
do.
that I
Oh,
know.
exactly. Oh, it's fun to see when you see somebody you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
so so with this digital live drawing, what was the, like, the impetus, like how did you, like, decide to do this? What set that in
Uh-huh.
motion?
Um, yeah, well, actually, if I go back a little bit, I don't know when this was, but maybe 8 years ago, I was invited to I'm try to make this short. There's a
No,
group
don't worry
called
about it.
Cartooning for Peace, based in Paris. Cartooning for Peace is based in Paris. I've been a part of that group for 15 years, and they were doing an event in France, and they invited me to be a part of it, where it was a conference on culture, a huge conference on culture, and they invited a handful of cartoonists, about 5 of us, or we would rotate to draw the conference and draw it in a way that was not just drawing the people as caricatures, but drawing them and then maybe making a joke out of it, or making humorous remark about what they were saying. And there are people. Some of these cartoonists are my friends, and they're from all over the world, from Turkey, from France, from Italy, and we were together, and we didn't use digital tools, because I don't think we had them at that point. But we would draw, and they would put them on an overhead projector and then project them to the room in the middle of this conference. So these people
Oh,
were
wow.
talking about very serious things, and we were making fun of them in the cartoons. And, I didn't know
Like
that I could do that. I agreed.
real time insults to important
Yes,
people.
right. Teasing them about what they were talking about, trying to
Yeah, how
lighten
did
the
that go
mood.
over?
They loved it.
Did they?
Just
That's
they loved
awesome.
it. And I didn't know that I could do that before I went, but I agreed. I'm an early adopter of stuff. I said, yeah, I'll do it, sure.
Right.
So I went. I realized that I could do it. I could draw quickly, and think on my feet, and that started it. But then in about 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I got an iPad as a gift, and started drawing the State of the Union address from TV, which is,
Oh, wow.
on the one hand, it's really boring. On the other hand, it's fascinating for me. So I was drawing the State of the Union address and putting it out with this app on Twitter immediately. And the drawings are bold. They're kind of like impressions of people, and they're somewhat colorful. And I would sometimes make snarky remarks in the tweet as well. And it took off. I noticed that people really enjoyed that. And from there on, I was doing it for myself for a year or two, and then I started getting hired to do it. And I've been to the Oscars for 5 years to draw that. And I draw not only the celebrities that I see, but the things going on behind the scenes, like the artists painting the Oscar statue, or the person vacuuming the red carpet. And I'm there for a couple of days, and I get to wander around. And I think I'm the first cartoonist to be given credentials for the Academy Awards. So anyway, I've done the White House. I've done. I went to a women's marches, and so wherever I can get.
Oh,
If
we
I
lost you.
sometimes
We lost you for just about 10
okay.
seconds there.
Sometimes I send myself if I think it's an important event. Sometimes I get news outlets to hire me, but that's one thing I like about HAPS, is that they're supportive, and I'm hoping that they'll support me in these things going forward, just in terms of getting me credentials and things like that. Because many news media don't really don't want to, don't quite know how to fit me in the lineup.
Yeah, right. But when you're doing something that is kind of groundbreaking, I think that's probably par for the course, right? I mean, it's going to take a little time for their ideas of what this new brand of journalism that you're working on, what does. And we just had this really cool I don't know if you could see it, this cool pixelization of you that kind
I
of
saw
look.
that.
Yeah, it kind of. I'm looking at it kind of on the, because we have a delay, right? They have a delay out there, and it actually looked really neat. It was like, wow, some hacker is doing some art right on the program there. So the well, what is the like? What do you think the impact is on a live drawing versus, like, let's say something you're doing for the New Yorker, that's going to come out kind of in a
Mhm.
publication, like even the feedback for you, and
Mhm.
just the impact of a live drawing. How do you think those are different or similar? Or,
Yeah, they're different. Uh, I've never had that question. That's why I'm pausing. I'm trying to
no, no
answer it.
worries. Yeah.
Uh, well, a cartoon. I've been doing this a long time, and a cartoon, you don't always get feedback. Although now with Instagram, you can get immediate feedback. Once the New
Mhm.
Yorker publishes it, then you can run it on Instagram and get people's impressions of it, or they like it or they hate it. Um, so and it's usually a joke, or sometimes my stuff is quiet, so oftentimes it's an observation, or like a little chuckle about life, or marriage, or friendship, or dogs, or something. But the live drawing is more experiential, and it's not always funny. Depends on who I'm working for, or 'cause sometimes when I work for CBS, I tried to keep it pretty much just reporting, like this: I'm drawing this, I'm seeing this, and not make any commentary to go with it. So it's just a different kind of usage of cartoons,
And
cartoon drawings.
I know
And
we
people
have.
tell me they like, sorry,
No, go ahead.
people tell me they enjoy the live drawing because they feel like they're there. And many people say that, my followers say they almost prefer watching the Academy Awards through my drawings. I also drew the debates as well, and the presidential the election. I think I did it with Haps that day. I was drawing things with Haps in my studio. So it's a way. I mean, and that's a little different because I'm drawing. I'm not there. I'm in my studio,
Hmm.
But it's also, I think, it's a sharing with our audiences. It's sharing an experience. Like, we're all watching this thing together, and this is how we're responding to it.
Yeah, I think that that experience of being able to interact with the audience, like I was on stage for a friend's operetta company, and I'd done like a little acting in college, and I was like, oh, I'm never doing that again. Because the feedback, the crowd was great, but like, the pressure of being on the stage wasn't fun. I like to say that, like, I'm a really good actor in life, but oh, not on the stage. No, 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 that's not my thing. So, but having that feedback's definitely got to feel different. I'm kind of curious about, what got you into being a cartoonist, right? You're married to a cartoonist too, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
like there's some serious cartooning in that family, but
it's a lot quiet, yeah.
and
Uh,
some of it not so serious, but the what kind of got you into cartooning, as an artist? Like, were you doing, any kind of other art, or, what I mean? What was kind of that
mhm.
path?
No, it started back really young. I mean, a lot of us cartoonists uh, began when we were kids, I think, because we're fascinated with cartoons, and also many of us felt somehow like misfits, that we didn't fit in. So for us, and this is true of me, I was really shy and quiet, and I could be off in the corner drawing by myself, and people wouldn't bother me, or and it was a way to communicate with people too. I please people. I like to show them my drawings and make them happy, which is what I did
Right.
with my mother. It made her laugh.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice. Yeah.
so yeah,
So it was always kind of, there was a feedback mechanism in there from the beginning, right? I
for
mean,
me, yeah,
yeah.
I think it's not always true with other. I think with other people, maybe it is. There's feedback, like sharing with your friends, sharing your drawings with your friends, which I did in high school. But it's interesting you asked that because I'm as you said, I'm married to another cartoonist. He works for the New Yorker as well.
Hmm.
Michael Maslin is his name, and we humor's kept us married, I think, for one thing. But he's a guy and I'm a girl, and I can observe the way he works, uh, and I observe the way I work, and we're both quite different in how we respond and do our work. In that he tends to draw to make himself happy, to make himself amused, and
Oh, wow.
it works out well because it is funny stuff.
Right.
I try to do that a little bit too, but I'm also more outwardly motivated. So I'm inspired by the news, by cultural events, by buzzwords, by things in the culture. So it's not so much, I'm just trying to react to what's going on outside of myself. So it's just different kinds of, how did I get to that subject?
I don't
Anyway.
know, but that's really not, no. That's, this is haps, right? We're just gonna, we're gonna free flow. Right. Yeah. Well, having somebody like, I mean, I guess it's great. You said humor helped keep you guys together. So that's good advice for everybody. Laugh a lot at home.
Yeah.
And then, has there any, I don't want to do any stories about you and your husband that would not be fun, but like, what's the tension between two New Yorker cartoonists? Like, oh, I'm getting 3 in this month. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
is there any competition between the two of you?
Everybody wants to know that. When we met, we were already cartoonists for the New Yorker, so that's good. We already had our careers on the way. Not very long. It was like a couple years. We were already doing it, and then we met. So yeah, I mean, there has been tension over the years. If he sells and I don't, but the good news is we share the money. So
well, then when you two were both already at the New Yorker, so you met at the New Yorker. I'm assuming you didn't meet at a random bus stop, and I'm like, oh, we both work at the New Yorker. But you were kind of pretty much breaking ground then, right? I mean, there weren't exactly a lot of women cartoonists probably out there at all, right? Was this in the 80s? Is this it? Right?
Yeah. You're right. However, I have to make sure everybody knows that the New Yorker, and I wrote a book about this called Funny Ladies, and I'm doing a new book about it due out in the fall, but that's beside the point.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. No, that there were women cartoonists in 1925 doing cartoons for the New Yorker, which was surprising for me to find out. I went into the project 15 years ago. I wrote that book 15 years ago, looking to see why there weren't more women in cartooning. Because I knew it when I entered the field. There were 4 of us women at the New Yorker at the time. And I probably 40 men. So it was quite an imbalance there. But I went into the business knowing that there was an imbalance, but I really wanted to figure out why. And that's how that book came about. And I found a lot of women, sort of dotted around. The New Yorker is almost 100 years old. So a lot of women sort of dotted around the history of the New Yorker cartoons.
Well, that's actually pretty significant. Hold on, Lacey. Liza, love your book, Husbands and Wives. Did your relationship inspire that book, or just general observance of relationships around you? This is Gary Price.
Thanks, Gary. Thank you. That's an old book. Yeah, our relationship inspired that. But the thing is, we all cartoonists of the New Yorker have cartoons about relationships, and marriage. So when Michael and I put that book together, we already had cartoons about the subject. But so I think that book is not about our marriage at all. It's just about marriage in general. Later on, about 10 years ago, we did a book together called Cartoon Marriage, which is the same thing, only each chapter has a narrative that we did together about our own marriage. And that one almost got picked up for a sitcom, which I was really excited about, but didn't happen.
Wow! But it didn't happen.
Yeah.
There are so many near misses with sitcoms, but that's even cool just to get close. And I see Mr. Goldman came in. He knows a lot about stuff out there in Hollywood. Yeah, that's pretty cool to come that close. And the amount of just the things that you've been able to do. But I'm really surprised about the New Yorker and having women cartoonists. I wonder if it is. Was there a benefit to the New Yorker doing, paying women less? I'm just coming up with these ideas, or were they progressive? Was there somebody there that was driving that? Because that's huge
Mhm.
back then.
Yeah.
Women had
Well,
only
here's
been
my
able to
theory.
vote for 5 years, right? So,
Right. Well, here's my theory. I wrote about this, is that in 1925, Harold Ross, who and his wife Jane Grant founded the New Yorker, and his wife Jane Grant was a reporter for the New York Times, which in itself was a huge thing. There weren't many women reporters back then. So she was an early feminist, and I like to think that she had a hand in when they started the New Yorker. They were looking for just the best cartoonists in the city, and that was a golden age of cartooning, actually, for magazines and newspapers. So there were a lot of cartoonists floating around in all the major cities, Chicago as well. But I think what may have helped is that the 20s, the roaring 20s, I think, after the women got suffrage in 1920, I think there was a feeling among many women of more freedom, more chances, more liberty. And so I think that included artists too. They really wanted to get into the business. They wanted to become successful. They wanted to have jobs, and they felt that a certain amount of freedom to do that. It was short-lived, but
right.
New Yorker, New Yorker kept publishing women. There were maybe 8 to 10 women in those early days doing cartoons, and it wasn't big. It wasn't until like the Depression and then World War II, which started to change everything. So,
Well, that's interesting because we've definitely have waves of women being able to kind of, you know, being, the language around all of this, it just kind of makes you a little, it makes you feel like, gosh, things were so crazy, but they're not necessarily better now. But, I don't want to say women were allowed, but women were kind of, let into certain fields and stuff. And then it would go away. And, you even had all the women that worked, in the factories. My grandmother, her job at the 50 caliber gun factory was she was the one that test fired the gun. These are huge,
wow.
guns. And she had her job. She's tiny. My grandma was tiny too. I don't know how she did that, because these are like kind of guns that like are in battleships or whatever. Like these are just big guns. And she would shoot this thing. And she had a factory job, and there were thousands of women that did. And then of course those jobs went away. Mark says, so great to see two of my favorite broadcasters collaborating. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
That is a very nice compliment, sir. And
Yeah.
there's only one CEO, but I'm glad to see my favorite CEO of HAPS in the audience, and my favorite CEO of all companies. The what about I know we're jumping all around here, but I'm having so much fun.
Good.
What about women today, young women today, and getting into cartooning, and like,
Mhm.
what have you
Mhm.
worked with around that? And then what is the, kind of for young women that want to get into that, what would you kind of
Mhm.
say to them
Mhm.
if my, even, my 18-year-old daughter were here with us
Mhm.
tonight or something?
Mhm. It's funny you ask, because that's what I'm writing about now.
Oh,
I'm also
wow.
a writer, by the way. A new updated edition of Funny Ladies is coming out in the fall, and one reason why is because in the last 5 years, there have been more women joining the ranks of the New Yorker than ever before. And in fact, in 2017, there was one issue of the magazine where there were more women cartoonists than men,
Oh, wow.
and that was pretty exciting.
That is very
Small glass.
exciting.
We're breaking small glass ceilings here, one at a time. But So I'm updating the book, but the great thing is that there's a new cartoon editor. She joined the New Yorker in 2017, and her name's Emma Allen. And that in itself is groundbreaking, because the editors of cartoons have always been men,
Okay.
except for Tina Brown. Tina Brown was not the cartoon editor, but she was the senior editor in the 90s. Um, and Emma is bringing in a lot of new people, a lot of new cartoonists who are women, a lot of cartoonists who are Black and a lot of cartoonists of color and
Oh, wow, that's
Asian.
awesome.
And so it's getting more diverse and more, it's just it's an exciting time for the New Yorker. So um, I interviewed Emma for my book. And she and David Remnick are writing the introduction, the forward. So I'm really honored that that's going to happen. But anyway, to tell you about young people, what I would suggest is that the New Yorker is always looking for new talent, and there is a form online. I don't have the URL in my brain, but there's a way
Mm-hmm.
to submit cartoons to the New Yorker. There's a formalized way now you can do it if you're new, if you're
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's pretty cool. That that they actually have a thing where they can send. It's pretty hard to
yeah,
sometimes. I don't think the New York Times has a thing where you can send in news stories and say,
no,
break
no,
in. So
this is
that is
new.
really
Yeah,
neat.
this
Yeah.
is new under Emma. So I think if you
Oh.
want to
Oh.
just
Wow.
Google how to
Yeah.
Google how to submit to the New Yorker. I think cartoons. So
Yeah. 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 Well, and I will definitely let me make that. I'll like tweet that out after the show, and I'll put it on
mhm.
Instagram too. How to? Yeah. Well, that th- so Emma she's the cartoon editor.
Editor,
So she's the
and she
cartoon.
also
Mhm.
yeah. She also edits the humor section of the magazine, which is historically called Shouts and Murmurs. Don't ask me why they call it that, but that's what it's called. And so she edits that. They have an online Shouts and Murmurs. A lot of new kinds of humor in the magazine and online, and it's just exciting.
Yeah, the that is exciting. I mean, that's really big. Like that those shifts are being made, and we had there was so much of the women's art movement in the 70s and the
Mm,
60s and the 70s that really pushed and progressed women. And I think really there's definitely a way to go in contemporary art because men have just had such a big head start. But we're really starting to see women in every field of in every kind of field of study at the university level. Women
mhm,
are predominant in those fields except for the sciences, and I heard by something like 2030 the sciences will be eclipsed by women, as opposed to men getting into fields. So
mhm,
those
mhm,
things are changing. And you
mhm,
know if you talk to if I talk to a young woman artist today, and we talk about the women's art movement, it's like, well, why would we? They get it if they know about art, but like we just wouldn't distinguish anymore. But it's kind of hard to understand that
mhm.
back then you had to have some force to help because
Yes.
you weren't going to be in a gallery. You're not going to get any representation as a woman. And
Mhm,
so that has really changed a lot. And I think that leads me to like you were exhibited, right? You've had some of your work displayed
yeah.
at different things.
Mhm,
That's
mhm.
got to be pretty interesting to. Have you been there for the openings and stuff like that? I would guess, and have people mingling around looking
Well,
at your.
I had I've
Oh,
had two. Did I lose you?
oh, we lost you for a second again.
I had an exhibit of a one-woman show at the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, and that was exciting. It was virtual. I mean, we had an opening,
Hmm.
virtual opening, which was fun. But I did, and they started opening the museum over the summer, so I got to go up there and see people responding to my work, which was really fun.
Yeah.
And rewarding. Great. It was really rewarding. The show is called Comic Relief, and it's still online. If you go to nrm.org, Norman Rockwell
Uh-huh.
Museum.org, you can see some of the material that's still on their website. And we're trying to travel the show. We're looking at other museums to take it. So hopefully,
Oh,
um,
awesome. Yeah. The
uh,
let's see, Comic Relief. The and Eleanor, I see that you are here, Eleanor. Yeah, I put you as the director. So there's if you go to Liza's page, Eleanor, because I just can't type this fast. If you go to
okay.
Liza's page, you'll find some New Yorker cartoons that you might just want to show. And Yeah,
Yeah, there's a picture of that exhibit too on the homepage.
oh, good. Yeah, very good. Very good. What do you, what do you do? Like, what's your, do you have like you write, you do cartoons, you do all these things. Like, what do you have? Like, do you garden or something? Like, do you have a hobby too? Like, do you have time? Like, do you need that emotional space, or like, it's just no,
Yeah. No, I run. I like to run
Ah,
uh, and walk. So no, I don't. Yeah, I think both my husband and I are both workaholics. So, and I think many creative people might also be, because you have to, when you're either a painter or a writer, you kind of have space around your creative time.
mm-hmm.
You can't just go sit down and be creative. You have to sort of have the space to, make the coffee and, procrastinate a little bit about, with the cat or whatever. Then get to your table and stuff will happen, hopefully.
Well, that,
So
I like that. Yeah, I
yeah,
like that
I never really,
procrastinate thing.
yeah,
I
procrastinate is part of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
No, I mean, I know. I've known a lot of artists over the years, and I mean, I'm always amazed by the artists that like work on a schedule, and you know what I mean. Like, it just I'm going to do a
Yeah,
painting tomorrow. I'm like, okay, that's cool, and I'm like whenever I'm doing something creative, it's like, and I even just did a big project for work, and I knew it would probably take me about 15 hours. And of course, I had 3 weeks to do it. So I could have done 2 hours, every week or something, and figured it out. But I also could just do it 15 hours before it was due and get it done. And it was way better, at least I'm telling myself, way better than it would be if, than if I had done it in piecemeal. So,
yeah,
yeah, I feel like that's a big, I know a lot of artists that are that way, because you need something to generate that creative energy, right? Um,
yeah. Yeah, you just need. I tell people that you need to be patient with yourself when you're going to be creative, because you're going to have blocks. You're going to have times when nothing comes, and that's okay. Hopefully, it's not weeks on end. But that's, I guess.
yeah,
Um,
the writer's block. Oh, you can have a lot of blocks. Writer's
yeah,
block,
cartoonist block. Yeah.
cartoonist block. Well, that would be, and now you can have HAPS block and everything like that. So
Yeah.
the
Actually, speaking of HAPS block, I've been having a HAPS block because I was doing I was live drawing every 5 days a week during the week for HAPS. And during the election, before the election, all last summer, leading up to the election, because I was so motivated. I don't want to get political here, but I was motivated
feel
politically.
free. But if you don't want to, but no, feel free
Well,
on here
I
to
know
do
it
that.
turns some people off, but
Yeah, right.
no, I mean, there was stuff. It was, and also during the pandemic, the beginning of the pandemic, and the Black Lives Matter protests and those kinds of things. There was a lot of stuff to really connect with others on the broadcast. Now it's a little more complicated. I mean, I could do a broadcast about women's rights, which I have done,
Oh,
and
I
I
love
love that,
that.
drawing about
Yeah.
women's rights, talking about it. But it doesn't draw that much of an audience. I mean, I
Yeah.
think unfortunately, Trump, brought people out, and that's a whole nother it's a whole nother topic. But
Right.
so it's a little more difficult right now to. I mean, people do like watching cartoonists or artists draw. There's a couple of other really great artists on HAPS that you just love watching them paint or whatever. And that's one way to go as well. But
Well, that's
anyway,
interesting. Because the there are a lot of absolutely great women doing stuff on this network, and I have been kind of in communication with some journalists in the UK, because, as Mark knows, we talked about it. I'm dedicated to the platform, and I'm trying to bring different people to the platform, and I'm actually talking to some journalists, some women journalists in the US too, but to bring kind of bring some young women and young men too, but journalism students or whatever, kind of to the platform, and give them an actual space to kind
Mm-hmm.
of start to work out their craft and craft what they're doing, and having people that are, you know, very representative of, having women representatives here, and getting more people of color and that kind of stuff. I think it's going to be great. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's just a great platform for, young people to kind of get started on doing that here
Mm-hmm.
on this platform. And the the work that you do, are you doing work for CBS too now?
Not right now.
Not
No.
right now. When you were you was again kind of live political stuff mainly? I guess what I'm thinking is like, well, here's what I'm saying is the shift from, okay, so first of all, when it was clear that Biden won, many painful hours and days into that process, right? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, fine, but I'm not, like I'm not gonna, it's just not done. You know what I mean? But that moment that he was sworn in, I think there was just a collective breath. It was certainly for me. I just literally, that was the first time I let it go. And I was just like,
Yes.
wow,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and people cried, and I mean, it was just an intensely emotional time. And
Mm-hmm.
I can feel it in my gut right now. And
Mm-hmm.
that did, though, change the landscape instantly
Mm-hmm.
politically. It was crazy. Like over the last 4 years of watching way too much CNN, way too much MSNBC, way too much all of these things, there
Mm-hmm.
really was no other news. Like I don't know what's happened in California or in Florida or in other fields. Like have they been polluting like our rivers and nobody's paid attention? Like, and so now,
Yeah.
like you said, the politics have kind of changed, and and
Yeah.
and so that is affecting just the way that you're going to work. Do you feel like of just within, obviously personally, but do you feel like some new veil has been lifted, and there's like a new kind of dawn of being able to do
Mm-hmm.
political cartoons again?
I probably do. Yeah. I haven't actually talked to my colleagues about this. I have my New Yorker friends who, and then I have, sorry, my New Yorker friends, and then I have political cartoonist friends. I'm on the board of the American Association of Editorial Cartoonists, and those guys, and they're mostly guys,
Hmm.
are the ones that work for the newspapers. There's about 4 women, I think, that have that are in that group. What am I saying? So those people are hard hitting, political, like almost everyday type
Right.
cartoon. And I know that for all of us, it's going to be a major shift. I put my political cartoons that are more strongly political on medium.com.
Okay.
So yeah, and I mean, I've had some political stuff in the New Yorker, but they're more New Yorker type political cartoons, more quiet commentary.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but after Trump lost, and I'm not the kind of cartoonist that likes to get mean or aggressive.
Hmm.
It's just not my personality. I know
Not
a
your
lot of people
style.
have to do that. We have to keep our leaders. We have to hold them accountable. Um, so and Trump just got my ire up. It just really really angered me and frightened me, frankly. So
Yeah.
leading up to the election, particularly in the last year, I got more and more passionate about drawing to try to expose him. Not that I think my cartoons are going to do anything, but um, I just felt motivated. Now that he's not president anymore, I mean, he's still a threat, but
Hmm.
I don't feel as motivated to be mean. I don't. I could draw a cartoon about Ted Cruz, but I don't really want to do that. That's just me.
I
That's
want you
me. I
to.
don't. Yeah, maybe I should have, but I know other cartoonists have done it already,
I
so
could just
it's
see
old
some.
news.
Yeah, it is old news. It happened so quickly, but I could just see some funny things in Ted Cruz and beach shorts, and it just would be. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah,
The
so
but it is old news, right? It moves very quickly now.
it does. You got to be fast. Hmm.
Yeah, there's no I mean, you used to. So when you were starting, out at the New Yorker. I mean, it was when, there would be a guy closing the show that would be like, and that's the way it is, March 16th, 1982.
You
I'm
mean
Walter Cronkite
Walter
Midnight.
Cronkite?
Yeah, exactly. Like he was just finishing, right? That old school of journalism that was
Mhm.
there, and then the new stuff that came, and it just has to be it just has to be a joy. Like you said that just a moment ago. You said that I don't know that what I was doing, would be effective. But see, I think that when you're doing a visual medium like that in a world that doesn't, like, I think the average time now is of people's attention span on YouTube is something like 45 seconds. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like that if you can't ring them, if you can't reel them in 45 seconds,
Yeah.
you're done. And actually the nonprofit that I'm involved with, we're doing a grant, and it kind of drives me crazy. They all make you do a video now. I'm like, no, I'm not a salesman. I'm trying to do good. But anyway, they want you to be a salesman too.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
and and I know that we got to get them in the first 45 seconds just to make sure
mhm,
that they watch the rest of the video. Mark says, I
mhm,
think there is plenty to draw about the political hypocrisy on both sides. Amen. I agree. We have to hold
mhm,
them all in check. We have to hold them
mhm.
all in check. But I
I
also really
totally agree.
believe but I also really believe that your political cartoons do have an effect because they're in that visual medium. It can get in there really quickly, right? And you can give context to something that I think an article can't do
Mhm,
visually, because you can put a little sting, you can put a little humor in there, and when you put that humor in there, you're kind of breaking that barrier for people of like, oh yeah, it's funny, but wow, look what he's doing. So no,
mhm.
I think it's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah, you really put it well, and that's what I often say. Same thing, that cartoons get to people when words often can't. People won't wanna read an article about X, but they can't take their eyes away from a cartoon,
Right.
they have to look at it, and you've got their attention, so I agree, and, I just wish that, the media would value cartoonists more than they do. The New
Mhm.
Yorker values us, that's for
Right.
sure. And there's a couple of papers, like the Washington Post has Ann Telnis as a cartoonist, and they're hiring somebody new to replace their other regular cartoonist who's retired, Tom Tolles. Tom Tolles? What is his name? I've never met him, so I may be confusing with somebody else. Anyway, so there's a couple of papers that have regular the Atlanta Journal Constitution, that have regular cartoonists and they get health benefits and stuff like that. But for
But
the
there
most
used to be a
part,
lot.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I wonder if that do you think that's just attributable to, like we just had the Chicago Tribune is going to be sold to one of these hedge funds,
Wow.
and well, it's not a hedge fund. It's a Mark would probably know what it might be called, but it's one of these companies that goes in and buys all these companies, trims them down, you know what I mean, and then uses all of the different ones they have to kind of shift things around and keep the money flowing, and you know what I mean, like,
Mhm,
but even though they say, we're all about journalism and journalism important and local journalism is important, what becomes filled up in the newspaper is they all become, sorry if anybody from USA Today is watching this, but it all becomes USA Today, where it's this homogenized, kind
yeah.
of news. And then you might get a news article or two in there that have some, local meaning to it. So it's a
Mhm.
private equity firm. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate that. Yeah. So I love having you here. And also when we had just you guys ask questions if you're in here, please. If you're not
Yeah,
familiar with the system, please ask questions, because this is what makes this medium so really fun. But and Pablo, I didn't get to say hi to you, and
Pablo's here.
yeah, Pablo was here anyway, and it was nice to get to see him. And yeah, I think that
Well, yeah, you were saying that, yeah, the homogenization of media. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah,
So,
right. I mean, it's just getting homogenized down. So like, I just wonder if I don't think, because the power of the cartoon is not going out of fashion. And the reason that I know this is because of the power of cartoons that we see on television and everything in our everyday lives. So that these are, these groups are kind of taking this away from us, I think
mhm,
is very attributable to just, this idea of saving money. Alden Capital is buying Tribune are notorious for stripping newspapers of their journalism, right? And this is exactly what Mark and David, are trying to counteract, is to bring more availability and accessibility to the news from a broader, wider
Mhm.
audience. Let me, we're in that weird pixelation mode. So since we're in a
Yeah,
funny
I see
mode,
that.
I'm going to try and reset the graphics. So hang on one second. If
Okay.
you're watching this, folks, we are in beta. So this does happen. And I think we're fully linked. So it might not even be on the Haps end. It could still just be in the internet. This is a very, I just heard this too, kind of anecdotally, that it, if you do audio only, the difference between audio only and video for resources, that are used across the internet, it's 96% less if you use audio. Like video is just, so just to imagine how much cloud storage and everything these guys need at Haps to do all these things, and they record it and to get it out there. I mean, it's a massive amount of kind of
Yeah.
energy within the system. So but that's just
Mhm.
a little bit of an aside. But I think um, what are you said you were part of an organization of cartoonists. Like,
Yeah.
what do you guys talk about as you're seeing these shifts? Like, um, you know, do you kind of sit there and kind of come up with strategies, or what? And this is your guys' thing. How does that feel
Yeah.
out in the community?
I don't know. I'm relatively new to the group, 3 or 4 years.
Hmm.
Didn't join until recently. So, yeah, people are worried and concerned that there's not enough employment for cartoonists, editorial cartoonists, or cartoonists in general.
Right.
Um, mhm.
And
But
just,
so yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say, just I don't know, Eleanor, if you can just, even while we're talking, just highlight some of her cartoons from the New Yorker off her website. If you can pull those up, there'll be a section in there that says New Yorker cartoons. But yeah, the what we think of as comics are
Mhm.
like that flattened out quite a long time ago, right? That there was huge shifts in people for comics. But tell us a little bit about, as Eleanor hopefully pulls this up. Tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about, because there are, I don't know how many New Yorker magazines, I don't want to admit to this, that I have that I didn't get to the articles, but I never missed a cartoon. Never. It's the first thing I
Right.
do is I go through all the cartoons, and there's a really long form article there that I want to read, but I got to see the next cartoon first. So
Yeah.
what tell us for people that aren't familiar with the New Yorker,
Mhm.
what do New Yorker cartoonists do? What do they portray? How does that work?
Mhm. Mhm.
I think there's even like a contest every month or something, isn't there?
Yeah, the back page, there's a caption contest,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which is different than what we do. But I don't know. The New Yorker cartoons are they're usually black and white and gray. Historically, they've been that way, and they're they're sometimes just jokes, laugh out loud jokes, but they're often about life, just you know observations that are funny about life. Some of them are bizarre, silly. Sometimes they're multi-paneled, like almost like a comic, but um, most often they're just one panel. And it's an odd form. It started, I mean, in 1925, it started at the New Yorker, and they would put so the cartoon. You've got the image, and then you've got the caption underneath, which is somebody in the cartoon is speaking. That's the traditional form. Sometimes there's no caption. The humor is in the visual. So I don't know. It's hard to describe. You have to look at them. Um,
I'm going to pull some up here. And I bet there's no way to, give me a second to hit present.
but you can really see some great stuff online if you go to newyorker.com. They've got the daily cartoon, which is often political, um, and then
Oh,
they've
cool.
got comics too. So
Yeah.
you
And now I've
showing it?
disappeared.
Oh, there.
There we
That's an old
go.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a woman saying to the man in the bed, "Your chances of hailing a cab are better if you go to the curb." So
Wonder what were they, do they know each other real well in there?
a little bit. Or maybe not. I don't know.
I know they apparently
That's
maybe I kind of see it as maybe they'd recently got to know each other.
yes,
Um,
in one way. Yeah.
the oh my gosh,
Um,
that's got to
yeah.
like yeah. I'm
Thank
seeing if I
you.
can get this. It does a little loop in there, but I'm just gonna let's click on a couple here. So this is like what you're talking about with no, there's no caption, right?
Well,
You're just
there should be a
you're
caption there. The woman is saying to the boy, she's saying, "Fun can happen to adults too." So that's like one of those cartoons. It's not laugh out loud funny. It's just observational
yeah,
humor.
yeah. The
I don't know where.
let's see. Let me pull down the. Let's go to this one. There's a
Click
rare
on
one
the
here.
middle one.
Oh, the middle. Okay, hold on. Where am
Oh,
I going?
oh, there. That's an interesting one because.
Oh,
All
okay.
right. That one, the little girl, it's the man who's speaking, and he's saying, I think he's saying, "I'm sorry, Will can't come out to play right now. He has to stay in and finish his screenplay." And that was one of the first color cartoons that the New Yorker published under Tina Brown.
That
They
was in the
stopped using
'90s,
film.
then, right? Tina
Yeah,
Brown was
right.
in the '90s. I remember Tina Brown at the
Yeah,
New Yorker for sure.
yeah.
And that wow, like you've probably. I want to look at some more of these cartoons, but like you know, first of all, you are a big deal, and and you have worked for some pretty big deals over the years too. I would imagine. Like, what was it like with working with somebody like Tina Brown?
Well, I only met her like twice.
Really?
Yeah. You don't really work with them. She was my editor.
Yeah,
She was the final word on what cartoons get bought.
gotcha.
And I sold a lot under her, which was really fun. I don't cartoonists. I should explain to people. New Yorker cartoonists. We don't work. Some of us have contracts, but that's just because we've been
Oh,
there
you're like
longer.
a yeah, you're more like a freelancer in the sense that you're not
Yeah.
sitting in
So
the
there's never a
offices.
guarantee. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
never a guarantee that you're going to sell a cartoon. But yeah, this is pace yourself, honey. You're only 3.
Well, I like see that relates really well to that last one, even though they're probably quite a bit far apart. Because I was going to say that what's so funny about the one with, and what's so funny about all of these cartoons and the way that you're making people, that you're letting people kind of um, take that line and go where you want to go with it, right? So like
Mhm,
for me, when you're saying that line from the dad, I'm guessing here, right? So it
mhm,
is like, okay, look, there's palm trees. It's clearly, to me, it's probably like Los Angeles and
mhm,
an upper middle class kind of community, and this whole thing around parents and families having, like their kids are just, you got to get into the right preschool or you'll never make it into Harvard, and the 8-year-old working on this, he's trying to sell his screenplay to Vim Vendors or, somebody, you know what I mean? David Lynch,
yeah.
I could just see some kid, how do I do it, Dad? How do I do a nonlinear movie? You know what I mean? Like, well, just take all of your ideas and throw them on the ground and put them back together, and that's how you make a David Lynch movie. I actually say David Lynch takes all of his ideas, puts it in a shotgun, shoots it in the air, picks up the pieces, and he makes one hell of a movie. So,
Yeah,
but I don't know how they
yeah.
do that. But yeah, making people think, and having influence over people. I mean, I just think I really do. I think it's an interesting kind of relationship that you have with people, and you have some responsibility that to 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 bring this truth through something that isn't necessarily a medium that people would think that it can be packed with so much of it. So I just think it's really a beautiful thing that
Thank you.
you're able to convey this out to people. And oh, she's
Um,
got some stuff up there for us. And David Allen gave us a Stay Safe award. Thank you, David Allen. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, this is an example of a political cartoon that I drew right after Trump was elected, and he continued, forgive me, to attack the press. Um, I use the Statue of Liberty a lot in my political.
Yeah, that's definitely a recurring theme. The Statue of Liberty. What was your
It's all
I know
about connecting as human beings, I think. So
Yeah, the I learned a long time ago, like, don't ask anybody, ever what their favorite is, especially somebody as prolific as you are, with everything you've done. I would think more like the different eras that you've been able to be in, the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, right? And then today, like, as we get kind of ready, wrap up, I don't, you're perfectly welcome, to stay a little longer if you want, but I know you've had a long day, and we usually do these for about an hour. But what do you think? What was kind of your favorite era out of this journey that you've
Mm,
made?
I don't favorite
That's a big
era.
one. I might have.
Yeah, it's too.
We'll
I
call.
can't bite that. I can't chew that one. I can't
Yeah.
bite that off.
No, I, I,
But
ma-
I'll
I
tell
made it
you,
made it too big.
no, it's okay. There's one cartoon that thought I'm gonna see if you could show. It's
Uh
if
huh.
you go back to that full page, and
Let's
that's
see.
one of my favorite cartoons, just because it was important to me.
Let's pull that one up,
Let's see.
Eleanor. That
Let's see
page.
which one is it. Right? Keep going up. I think it's keep going.
Oh, keep going up. Sorry. There we go.
I
Okay,
think
we're at
it's
the
up.
top now.
No, keep going down.
No worries.
Anyway, uh,
We got time.
keep going. It's right underneath the cat one. Right there, right in the middle. The little girl and her father. It looks like I do
Uh,
a lot of little girl
oh
cartoons.
yeah, right. Here
Above.
we go.
Um,
That
I
one.
do a lot of feminist cartoons, but this is not one of them. But I want to show this one because I did this one for the New Yorker right after 9/11. And when 9/11 hit, I was like everybody else in this country, sort of uh, alarmed and frightened and upset and all those things, and
In
reevaluating our
shock.
lives, trying to think, what shock, yeah, what am I doing with my life? And so I actually thought I might give up cartooning because I wasn't sure what to do with it.
Mm.
And I drew this, and they bought it, ran it. It's a little girl saying to her father, "Daddy, can I stop being worried now?" And this was like a month or so after 9/11. And as we now know, that when you can't stop worrying, we as a country joined the rest of the world in the terrorist threat. So,
We did.
but this one got me back on track, and I started doing more and more and more political cartoons, even though I'd done some already. This one sort of gave me more purpose in a way, this time period. And also the internet was starting to pick up speed a lot at that
Mm-hmm.
time. And I published more stuff online. Not if the New Yorker didn't want it, I would put political cartoons or feminist cartoons online. So
I like
anyway,
that.
that's
Well,
yeah.
that's a beautiful story to close out in that revival for you. And like, listen, everybody, like, follow uh follow her on Haps, find her Instagram, buy her books. You know what I mean?
Thank
Like,
you.
go out
Thanks,
there
Brad.
and yeah, no problem. And I want to say Kim Carolina is in here, and we got to give a lot of credit to Kim to getting you connected with me. Kim is
Thank you,
like
Kim.
Kim is like the
Hmm.
best at making connections here, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the high award from you, Kim. But I owe you way more than 15 cents for everything you're doing to help me do this. And yeah, this has just been like, this is so awesome. Like, it's a little family here. There's not a lot of people, but this interview's been the talk of the town for a while. So we were all very excited to
Oh,
get a chance to
thank
meet with
you.
you.
Well, Reb, what I would like to do is have you on my broadcast
Oh
next, so I
wow.
can ask you questions.
That would be, thank you. That would be awesome. Well, then we'll email. That would be
Okay.
great. That would be great.
All right.
And
Good.
yeah, we'll pick out a time. That's really neat. Thank you. And
Cool.
yeah,
You're
love
welcome.
this broadcast, guys. Thank you so much. Mark, thank you,
Thank you,
and
Mark.
David, for bringing this to everybody. In the last 9 weeks, I suffer from bipolar. I have ADHD, and I've done pretty well over the years. But in the last 9 weeks, I've been able to connect with people that I'll know forever, and it's just been a beautiful gift, and we
That's
appreciate that
great.
gift from the folks at Haps. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, you have a great weekend.
Thanks a lot. Thank
And
you. You
yeah,
too.
and we'll all look forward to your next live drawings and your next, like I said, I'm going to run through those cartoons first in the New Yorker. So that's
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
that's gonna be awesome. I really appreciate you taking your time with us.
Well, thank you for asking me to be on your broadcast, and I felt like I've known you for a while. This was fun.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it is. Just a relaxed atmosphere, have fun, and it was great. And I look forward to being on
Good.
your show. And yeah,
Yeah.
thanks again.
Okay. Great.
All right,
Thank you, Rev.
thank you.
Bye,
You take
everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Bye bye. You take
Bye.
care.
Bye. So how do I get out of
Oh,
here?
you hit
I
the
don't know
little
how to exit.
exit. There's a little pink phone down there at the bottom. It
Hmm.
says exit. You see it?
Pink phone.
Like a little. It
Yes,
says presenting. Yep,
you
and
can
you just
see
click it.
I've been with Haps for a while, but I didn't know this. Okay.
Yeah, you don't
Thanks.
exit out
Bye.
yourself this way. Bye.
No, it's true. Bye.
Oh yeah. All right. So here's what we're going to do, everybody. Because it's early, we're going to wrap it up right now. And you can keep commenting in the comments. Go to Liza's page on here. And, if you had a fun time, comment in one of her current videos because, the comments are always live and tell her you had a good time. That was absolutely fabulous. And thank you, Kim. And like I said, thanks everybody at HAPS for letting me be able to do this, for bringing this to me to be able to do this. And my name is Revolution McKinnis. This is the big interview, and we will be back tonight at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. Pacific. And for all of you out there on the other side of the world, 5 a.m. GMT. Loved you all. Peace be with you, and namaste.